Hi, my name is Shivangi Nadkarni and I'm the co-founder and CEO of ARCA. Thank you, ISACA, for inviting me to speak at this very august event. It is my privilege and honor to be a speaker here amongst so many people of great achievement. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey, and I hope it resonates with some of you. So, keeping with the topic of the day, which is elevate, think like a leader, uh, I think I'm going to start by saying what I truly believe in, which is that each of us is a leader. It's just that some of us are, waiting to yet emerge from our cocoons, but we're all out there. So it's very important, first of all, that we do not confuse being a leader with being a manager. That's something which many people always, sort of make a mistake. So I often have people saying, "But you know what? I'm a junior person, or I'm not working. What really can I do when it comes to leadership?" And I always say that that is not what a leader is all about. A leader is, in my view, a leader is someone who makes an impact. A leader is someone who influences the world around her. It may be direct, it may be indirect. The leader is someone who puts forth a whole bunch of ideas, innovative thoughts that can be brought to the table. A leader is someone who has a lot of courage to stand by one's convictions and beliefs and faith, and yet question them when the right time comes. A leader is someone who takes risks in whatever she undertakes. Leader is someone who has the hunger to change the world around her. A leader is someone who questions deep-seated convictions and beliefs that the world around her has, that society has, and has the courage to do that. So these, according to me, are some of the things that embody a leader. In our minds, we often think of, let's say, a political leader. We think of the extremely extroverted leaders of organizations. We think of somebody who's leading a battle. They're all leaders, of course, but that doesn't mean the silent ones, the ones who don't necessarily have a platform to speak, don't necessarily have a large team to lead, may not even be in a working environment, maybe just somebody who does something silently from home. Each of us can really be a leader. Each of us is a leader, actually, because we do influence so much, and more importantly, we have the capacity and the potential to influence the world around us, right? So essentially, it brings me to the core point, which is that there is no one single definition of leadership, and you have to look within yourself to see what definition of leadership resonates with you, right? Similarly, there is no one single path to leadership. You can take different paths. There can be a myriad different journeys that really get you there, and every journey that each of us has the potential to become a leadership journey. There are no timelines. There is no sort of time frame within which you need to become a leader. You can become a leader at any point in time in your life. So when I was asked to actually speak about my journey, which I will in a bit, I thought that, when I believe that there can be so many paths to leadership, why not look at some of those multiple paths? So when I started wondering about how do I present the various journeys, I said, I So let me just look at the world around me, and let me look at my circle of very close friends, and I believe each of them is a, an achiever, a kick-ass woman in her own right. And I said, why not I present some of their journeys so that you see for yourself how each of them has become a leader in her own right, in very different ways. Okay. Um, so my first friend I'm going to talk about is my very dear friend Neha Punathar. Neha is VP and Global Leader for Capital Markets and Banking Transformation at Capgemini. She's a batchmate from IMCAL and from BJTI before that. Uh, so Neha has had a career in consulting all through. She's been doing strategy and business consulting. She began as a consultant, worked with Coopers and Lybrand. It got acquired by PwC, which later got acquired again by IBM. So she's actually been through multiple mergers and acquisitions on the receiving side. She's handled setup practices across multiple domains. Before she then she went on to become a partner at KPMG, and now she's onto a global stage where she runs a large practice. Has taken breaks in between when her kids were young. So she's had what I call a straight vertical path to corporate leadership. Okay. Contrast that with my friend Priya Gopalan, again a dear friend and a batchmate from BITS, who did computer engineering at BITS, did software development for a while, then went on to do her masters in management at AIM Manila, where she got exposed to the United Nations and realized that she decided to pursue a career in the development sector, where she developed a love for that. She came back to India, worked in the development center, ran operations for a organization which was in the impact space, did some fabulous projects, then realized that she needed to do something far more. And to equip herself with that, she went on to Columbia to do a master's in policy, top of the rank school, went with a baby and managed that. Went on to then work in sustainable housing for and policy in that space for several years in North America. Then came back, and today he runs, actually he's a dual entrepreneur. She runs two organizations. She runs something called Great Goals, which is an academy for sports for kids, which enables and imparts life skills to children through sport, football and basketball to be specific. She also runs something called Magic Beans, which is about urban sustainability and urban farming. I don't know how she manages to wear two hats, and of course she does a thousand other things. Priya is our, role model for managing many things at the same time. So she has actually moved from impacting global policy to transforming children's lives and making a tremendous impact in whatever she does. In my eyes, she's a fabulous leader. Okay. Um, then let me tell you the story of another dear friend of mine, Vijata. I've known Vijata since since both of us were 10, 11 years old. We like to say that we've known each other from when we were less than a quarter of our ages and half our heights. Okay. So Vijata is a math whiz, went to IIT Madras, went to IIM Bangalore, um, came back, worked in the financial services and banking sector, worked with digital transformation projects, helped move a lot of global processes to India when that was at its peak. Did a complete reboot in between after doing years of this, and decided to become a psychotherapist. Yes, you heard me right. She's a psychotherapist. Again, went back to the books, went and did a master's in psychology, studied and apprenticed under a leading psychotherapist, and today, now for many years, she's one of the leading psychotherapists today in Bombay. Um, Again, somebody who has moved from leading business transformations to personal transformations, as I call it, through what she does. moved from a very quant tech background to something which is so, I always tell her, ambiguous, nothing structured, and making a success of both is a different level altogether, right? Then I have my friend Meenal Majumdar. Meenal's again a batchmate from IMC. Meenal's had what I call dual careers. So when many people say that, hey, but you know what, I'm in a corporate job, I'm just doing the run of the mill stuff. What can I do? I always like to give the example of Meenal. So Meenal, on one hand, she's VP and heads a division at ISACA overall. In parallel, she's also a mentor and a volunteer and leads a huge initiative around robotics and STEM enablement for high school children. And when I say she does work in that, it's like serious work. She has enabled and led several teams to international robotics competitions, led them to win. She herself has won awards, and I don't know how she manages to do both, but she just manages to do both with equal, sort of rigor and vigor. You know, so again, somebody can run on two parallel paths at the same time and be a success at both. And the last example I'm going to give you is of another extremely dear friend and batchmate from BITS Pilani, Kavita Ravi. So Kavita is one of the most brilliant persons I know. She went on to do a master's and PhD in the US after her engineering. Worked for 12 long years as a software architect doing research in high-end systems. I from what I never understood what she was doing at that point in time. All I knew is that she was one out of a cohort of some 20 people globally doing whatever she was doing at Bell Labs, which then became Cadence. One fine day decided she's bored, and that she can't be doing this for the rest of her life, and just upped and applied for a fellowship under the Obama administration in a completely different area of energy, clean energy, and uprooted herself from Boston with two young kids, moved to DC for a few years, and did that fellowship under the Obama administration. Uh, Shined at it, and then came back and got into a career in clean energy. So today she is the MD of a company that is in the solar storage and solar energy space. Again, someone who has had tremendous impact in what she does, continues to do, but has demonstrated about how she can, one doesn't have to be on one singular path all the time. You can uh, just change. Kavita, Advijata, two examples. You can do multiple things in parallel. Meenal, well, Priya, examples. Or you can just have, stay focused and just shine at one thing that you do, is like someone like Neha, right? A bit about my own path. I went to BITS. I did electronics. Realized I didn't want to continue in engineering. Went to management school. At IMC, I realized I came out and I decided to work in a startup. And the word startup was not known at SIFI. Did a whole bunch of interesting things. Got into the whole infosec space. My first brush was with SIFI deciding to set up the first certifying authority in India, and I kind of helped that project. Then got into the whole data security space, ran a practice for a short while, global practice at Wipro. By then I realized I needed to do something on my own. So started, my first venture failed, my second venture failed. The current venture that I run, started 9 years ago with my current co-founder Samir Ranjan. We started with doing, consulting in InfoSec, stumbled into the world of privacy in parallel, and then we just stuck the path. And just the conviction and the belief that these are areas that the world is going to need more and more, coupled with wanting to do something different. I mean, not just do the usual services kind of business, because then we could have continued in our corporate jobs, but come back and say that, hey, this needs a different approach, because people just can't keep up with the demand, and we need to automate. And so we decided to build a platform and automate in an area which is changing by the minute. So we continue to do that. In the process, if that makes us leaders, then I'm glad. But we just do it because we have this abiding faith and conviction and belief that we have to do something which can really have a long-term dramatic impact on the world around us. So you do what it takes. So the path to leadership is never smooth. Then life is never smooth, right? We all have our challenges. So when I ask some of these girls, I asked them to tell me what are the challenges that they have faced. Kind of converged on some of these, and the main ones were, one is building credibility. You have to build credibility for yourself, no matter what you do. Building a team which carries both your vision and your passion. You know, finding mentors. Nobody is going to come and say, mentor, I will mentor you. You have to find your mentors, and you will have different mentors for different aspects of your work and your life. Go out and actively seek them. Okay. Learning to delegate, and by learning to delegate, it's not just to your team. You can delegate to the world around you. Okay, you can't be good at everything. You can't do everything yourself. Managing time. I mean, you have to respect time. Manage your own time. You manage people's time. That's the only perishable commodity in your life, actually, right? So be very, very, very ruthless in managing your time. Sometimes early on, people have faced the challenge of being taken seriously by seniors, by the world around them. You have to keep at it, okay? But those are challenges. And I mean, everybody without exception came back and said the ability to stay the course during the most difficult times, right? You just have to stay put. So these are some things that I'm sure each of you has faced, but it's good to hear that everybody thinks the same too, right? The other question I asked these girls was, what makes, in their opinion, a good leader? Interestingly, there was convergence on that as well. Empathy uh, with other people, clarity in thought and communication, the ability to share credit with people, ability to take accountability and ownership in anything that one undertakes. Building a 360-degree perspective, building a perspective of what I call at the 100,000 feet level as well as at the ground level, all at the same time. Championing your cause at all times. And it's not selling, the word is championing your cause, right? No matter what you do. The ability to pivot when required and grab opportunities around you. Just being fearless, taking risks, and just staying focused. Ability to stay focused, extremely important. I'm actually going to read out something that Dvijata sent me as a message in verse. Okay, it's so beautiful. I think I should read it out as it is to you. It says, "Don't walk behind me. I may not lead. Don't walk in front of me. I may not follow. Every path I choose will be mine. Every journey I don't complete takes me to my destination. Everything I give away is what I received. Don't give what you don't have. Don't promise what you cannot fulfill. Demand what you seek, not what you see. Yours is to ask, but no promises." The other question I asked all of them was, what is the advice that they would give other women? And here's what each of them had to say, and I've just summarized it over here. It says, build a brand. Neha says, have a brag book. Don't feel fearless and don't go on the back foot about what you are and what you can do. Right? Network, something which all women hesitate, but just go out and network. And by networking doesn't mean you have to go drinking with buddies. There are so many ways that you can network. Okay. Kavita says, dream high, aim high. Don't be timid and don't be reticent in what you dream about. Challenge yourself. Slog. There are no shortcuts. I think everybody has said that. Okay, there is no shortcut. You have to work damn hard. Find your source of power and inspiration. And Priya had an interesting thing to say. She said, don't be like a man. Just be yourself and do what you think is right. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be like somebody. Essentially, be your own self. And again, final set of advice in the words of Vijata, because she puts it more beautifully than I can ever summarize. It says, make room for the unknown and create space for the unrequited. Think about it. I'm going to repeat it again. It says, make room for the unknown and create space for the unrequited. Right? So it just says that there is a journey ahead. I think the long and short of this, and I'm sure other speakers would cover this as well, is that we all are here for a purpose. I believe all of that, all our purposes are to do with leading something, a thought, an organization, making an impact, influencing the world around us. Just go out and do it. Shine on and reach for the stars. Thank you.